and welcome to another episode of Table for Us. If you are new here, go ahead and pull up a seat to the table because we are going to dive into something that is probably going to ruffle a few feathers, but that's okay. This is a raw and uncut podcast where we're trying to basically, the purpose, I don't think I've ever really broke down the purpose of this podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to be able to motivate and encourage and correct things that need to be changed. Okay. So before we dive in, again, if you are new here, every episode, I always give all praise and honor to God because without Him, I would not be where I am. Everything that I do, I'm able to do because of Him. Everything that I have done and all the blessings that I have come from Him. So I always like to give Him all praise and honor before I do anything. So today we are going to be talking about one of the biggest things that I've experienced. And everything that I talk about on this podcast is going to always be from learned experiences, either someone close to me or something that I've actually gone through. So today we are going to be talking about what happens in the Black community when there is competition, jealousy, envy, and how it basically hinders us as a people. Now, I had an episode where I was talking about being okay with doing things alone, right? And that's in your own personal journey where you're learning who you are, figuring out what path you're trying to take. And sometimes you'll have to do things alone. But as a people, one of the things that I have noticed growing up is that we're very divided. And I remember hearing this saying, basically saying, divided we fall, united we stand. And we used to chant that basically in elementary school or in my class, not in the whole elementary school, but in one of my classes. And to me, it was just, okay, this is a little chant that we're doing. I never looked at it as, or never really understood the meaning, I should say, behind it. So for me, now that I'm older, 48 years old, really 49, my birthday was yesterday and I finished out my 48 years on this earth. So now I'm working on 49. All praise to God and the blessings of being able to make it here again, make it through another year. I noticed growing up that there was a lot of division in my community. So I grew up in the projects, and in the projects, you had some unity among some of the families, but for the most part, it was a lot of competition. And it was over material things or status. And not to say that this isn't something that is experienced in other ethnicities or races. I can only speak from mine because I'm a Black woman. And it bothered me, right? Because it was always this competition on who had the best outfit, who had the best girlfriend, or who had the best man, or who was driving the best car, or one of the big things. And this wasn't a competition that bothered me, but where I grew up at, I grew up in the Geneva Towers, and we had two buildings, an A building and a B building. And there was a ongoing rivalry between both buildings on which building was the best. Now, that wasn't something as deep as what I'm talking about. That was a fun, basically, competition. So you have your fun competitions, and then you have your ones where it's just like we're really dividing ourselves and hindering ourselves as people. So that one, and just to let y'all know, anybody out there watching, A building. So anyway, and actually still to this day, I see this where there's a lot of competition amongst ourselves, but I really see a lot of potential and talent and gifts among us. To whereas if we came together as a people, we would be so amazing. Now, there are individual people that are amazing. They have talent and all that stuff, but they gatekeep, right? So they really don't want to help someone else get to where they're at for whatever reason it may be. Me personally, I feel like they just want to be the one that shines and they want all eyes and attention on them. So they're not willing to help anybody else get up there. And it's sad. It's really sad because for me, I feel like whatever it is, especially let's just say since the pandemic, everyone is pretty much, not everyone, but a lot of people have stepped into entrepreneurship. I had my business before the pandemic, but after the pandemic, and then when I got laid off, I went into full entrepreneurship mode and took it more serious. There's a lot of people who stepped into entrepreneurship after the pandemic. So they have gained different skills and knowledge over the past few years in their craft, whatever it is. And they want to charge $25,000 for anybody to basically earn access to that knowledge. Now, your price is what your price is. I feel like, hey, if you feel like your information, your knowledge, your gifts, your talents is worth that, so be it. But I also feel like as a people, we should be helping. Now, should you be giving your stuff away for free? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not believe in that. Unless it's family, you really want to help them. But I feel like a good balance would be, you know what? Let me give back to my community that I grew up in. Let me give back to my community that I'm in right now. If you're in a community that could use some help, let me pick 5 people to help for free or at a discounted price. Because again, you've spent the years getting to where you're at. So you deserve to have some type of compensation for that. But to just hold it all to yourself and don't share it at all, you can't take that with you to the grave. You can take it with you to the grave, but it's not going to benefit you. So why not unite with your people and make sure everybody out here winning? There's enough money out here for everybody to eat. We should all be sitting at the buffet table like it was with the Last Supper. All of us sitting at the table and we comparing and trading notes, supporting one another. That's the other thing that drives me crazy is the lack of support amongst our people, especially more so people that I feel like I get support from people that I know and my family. Does that come from everybody that I know and all my family? No, it doesn't. I get a lot of support from people I don't know. People who probably have just met me because they seen my content or something and now they're following me for whatever reason that grabbed them in and they're being supportive of what, it is that I'm doing. And I feel like for people, and this is my own personal opinion, because I support everybody that I know. If you got something that's going on that you're doing, whether it's business, whether it's personal achievement as far as school or expanding your family, whatever it is, you got a new car, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader and be like, girl, come pick me up. I like that ride. I'm not going to sit there and hate and be like, yeah, like she got a new car, well, whatever. It looked raggedy. It probably got all these mini mountains. Like, it's just, the hate be so thick amongst our people. It's crazy, right? And it's like, we don't know what that person went through to get to where they're at, right? We're just looking at the accomplishments in most people because people don't share their journey of how they got there. Let me tell y'all something. I'm not sure if I shared this in one of my previous episodes or not, but I'm going to say it on this. I was homeless at one point, sleeping in my car with my eldest son. He was a baby at the time. My mom, I love her to death. My mom battled with drugs and alcohol and so forth. And she would have these mood swings where one minute we cool, next minute we're not. And I just think that's just a mother-daughter's relationship in most cases. But I am your grown daughter who has been putting my life on hold to step in as the eldest sibling and assist in taking care of my younger siblings. When my mom returned home from being at a program and she was clean and everything and stuff, honestly don't know what happened, but things started to change. She started back on her same habits and addictions that she was in. And next thing I know, she was kicking me out. Now, I'm not going to say I wasn't innocent in it. I might have said something that ticked her off or something. I don't know. I was very careful with what I said to my mom. I was respectful and then also careful at the same time. If you know me, Sherry don't play. So I was very careful in the stuff that I said to my mom. So I don't remember exactly what happened, but it escalated to her kicking me out with I believe my son was probably 3 or 4 months old at the time. And I will say this, I was not homeless because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I had family. I had my dad who was up in Seattle at the time, my older cousins, because I have 21 first cousins and I'm basically in the middle, but more towards the younger ones. So I had my cousins that I could have reached out to go stay with them. In fact, when they found out I was sleeping in my car, they were so upset with me. I ended up going to stay with one of my older cousins. She let me stay with her for a minute. And you know how it is. So here was my thing. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was homeless because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm gonna go through the same situation I went through with my mom, where I'm staying at their house. So if they want to kick me out, they kick me out. And for me, I didn't want to go through that again. So I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. Now, my mother didn't take my keys. So I slept in my car basically at night when she would leave and go wherever she was going. I'd get up in the morning, get my son situated, take a shower, change my clothes, drop him off at daycare. I would go to work. I did this for, I don't know, maybe for a couple of weeks, and then my family found out on my dad's side and they were so pissed off at me. But I'm saying that to say that I've been without anything. I've been where I had a place to stay, a roof over my head that was mine, but then I didn't have a car. So I know what it's like to struggle and go without. So I worked hard to get to where I'm at right now. Nobody handed me anything. And let me just say this, there is nothing wrong with things being handed to you. Because I'm that type of mom, because I had to work so hard for things. I have given my children a lot, but now I'm trying to switch things and making it a balance, because I don't want them to struggle, but at the same time, I want them to be able to accomplish things without me basically doing it for them or helping. But with that said, it's people will look at where you're at now and think, oh, she thinks she all that, or they have all these thoughts in their head, but they don't really understand the journey and everything that you went through. So one of my biggest things, because I've been so blessed, is that I am always trying to help other people. So if someone calls me or messages me on social media or something and they ask me a question about how I did whatever it is, it could have been painting a wall or something, DIY project, whatever it is, I don't gatekeep, right? I will share that information. Now, what I have done, because it was brought to my attention that I have this knowledge and I should monetize off of it, I have created some ebooks and some e-courses at a reasonable price, which my mentor, if she's watching this, she might kick me. Like, girl, if you don't raise your prices, but still, even with that, I still help a few people here and there, no charge, because that's just who I am. And I feel like when we don't do that enough, we don't look out for each other enough. We're constantly like, oh, I'm not helping them or whatever, and I'm doing my thing, and however they get there is however they get there, but I ain't telling them nothing. Not saying that's what people are saying verbatim, but that's how you act when you don't help your people. Now, I will say this, don't be an enabler, because it has to be helping someone who actually wants to be helped, helping someone who's actually asking for help, but to a certain extent. You don't want to be constantly helping somebody who's always asking all the time. It's okay. This is my thing, because it says it in the Bible. I'm going to teach you how to fish so that you can be able to take care of yourself and go fish for yourself. I don't want to just hand you the fish and you eat for one night. I want you to eat for a lifetime. So I'm going to teach you how to fish. And I feel like we need to start doing that more as a people, especially for the younger generation, because the next generation, we're going to get old. We want them to be successful. We want them to be able to pave the way, leave a legacy, and so on and so forth. I just want us to stop being jealous, stop being envious, because what you see someone else doing, you could do it too. Like, just because they're doing it don't mean you can't do it. And just because they're only showing you all the glitter and the gold and the furs and stuff don't mean that they, in most cases, I'll say 9 times out of 10, they didn't have to work to get there. And I feel like those of us that are successful and in a place where we can say, you know what? This is what I did. This was my roadmap. This is where I used to be. I didn't just wake up and I'm here. I started here and then I had a journey to get there. That we need to start doing that more. Share your story. How did you get where you're at? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be something small. And honestly, I don't even feel like this is small, but going to college and getting a degree. Do you need a degree in this life? No, I feel like there's a lot of things you can do out there that does not require a degree. But there's a lot of jobs out there, if you're someone who is a W-2 employee, where having a degree puts you at a different level of pay, right? Puts you at a higher level of title or position, right? So doing something like that, how did you do it? I had a few people that asked me when I went back to school, because I was working full time. Was going through a divorce, so I'm a single mom and was going to school full time. And they were like, what school are you at? What are you doing? I said, oh, I'm at UOP, University of Phoenix. They have a flexible schedule. They're a little pricey, but they have in person where you can go to campus or you can do online classes. I was doing the online classes because it worked with my schedule. Now, I had some people back in the day, now it's more common that you could do online classes because of the pandemic. But when I was doing it, this was 10 years or so before pandemic even happened, where people was like, are you really in school? Like would hear people whispering like, is that real school? Cause you just going online. They wasn't saying it to me, but it was getting back to me. And I was just like, yes, I am. I enrolled, I pay tuition, I have homework, I got assignments. I have I have 2 degrees actually, one in accounting and one in criminal justice. And I worked hard. I went to school for, was it, I did, no, I did 5 years. I did 5 years because I started with one major and then I switched to a different major, but I finished both of them basically. So I have 2 degrees, one in accounting and one in criminal justice. And the reason I switched is because when I was in like maybe 2 years, I think, in to my accounting degree, well, I wouldn't say switch, but I added on an additional degree, was because accounting jobs started to get outsourced out of the country. And I'll end up losing my job because they sent it to, I believe, Manila. And I just wanted to have a backup plan. So I'm big on backup plans. You can have a plan and it could go wrong. What's your backup plan? And sometimes you need a backup plan for the backup plan. But to not get off topic, I had someone reach out to me and they were asking about that when they saw that I was in school. I did a year in law school. I had someone asking me about that. I had to stop going to law school because my 11-year-old, he was born and I took him in. But life be life and life happens. But it's like, hey, if I can tell you something that I did that worked for me or didn't work for me to help you, why not do that? Why I'm gonna sit up here and let's say at the time when I was in school, I didn't want you to know what it was I was doing. Or let's just say, excuse me, I told you what it was that I was doing and how, but then life happened with me and I wasn't able to finish, but you did finish. I'm gonna be super excited. I'm not gonna hate and be mad or whatever, right? In fact, let me get on my stuff because this is somebody who came to me and they done finished before me. So I need to, hey, let me get on my stuff basically. Let me stop being lazy. That's really what it like boils down to. And we need to stop idolizing material things. Do not matter. It's nice to have nice things, but they do not matter. We put too much, what do I want to say? The word that I'm trying to say. We put too much power and emphasis and just energy into obtaining material things. Now, if it's not something that's going to make you money, it really don't matter even more, right? It's just like, you spend money on that. Whoop-de-doo. Is that making you money? Is that doing something to help you make money? Because if it's not, it's worthless. It's pointless. And again, when we die, we can't take that stuff with us. They could try to put it in the casket. I don't want to be buried, by the way. But they could try to put it in the casket or in a tomb like I used to do back in the Egyptian days. They put it in a tomb with you. But then somebody see they putting all that stuff in there, they going to rob you when you're dead. So what's the point in putting all your money into material things? Use that money to donate to a community center. What I would really like to do, I'm not there yet because my business is, I make enough to take care of my expenses, but I don't have a huge profit to whereas I could do this and do that. So I'm getting there. And when I get to a point where, okay, expenses are taken care of and I have additional revenue profit left over or whatever, I want to give back to the community. I want to go and grab the children from the neighborhood I grew up in and take them all on a weekend trip somewhere. It's a lot of children, right? Black children or children of color who have never been out of their neighborhood, let alone the city that they live in. So why not treat them to an opportunity to go to another city? Or if you have it like that, take them on a trip to another state, of course, with parent permission, and have the appropriate chaperones. There's a few little things you'd have to do, but give them an opportunity. Or my big sister, she has a, what do you call it? She has a customer service business. And I was asking her about it. I actually worked on her customer service business. That's how I was able to come up with my deposit for my house because I worked part-time under her business. And she told me the ropes and the information and stuff on how she started it. She didn't have to do that. But because, okay, and we're not blood related, but the blood don't make you family. You pick the family. You choose the family that you pick, right? So she told me the ropes, and I was able to start my own customer service business. So it's like help one, help somebody else. I remember, so I'm from the Bay Area. If you new here, I'm from the Bay Area, born and raised in San Francisco. And when I moved to the East Bay, Oakland is where I was living at. I still worked in San Francisco. There's a bridge that we would cross to get to the city. And the toll at the time, I want to say it was $1.50. Oof. I hear it's $8 now. I don't use that bridge anymore. But we would go through, actually it was $1 now that I think about it. It went up to $1.50 like later on. But we would go through the bridge, me, right? I'd be like, you know what? I got a few extra bucks. And it was toll takers then. They don't have them anymore. But I would go through and I would say, keep the change, cover the cars behind me, right? And in my mind, it was, okay, I'm helping you, but help the next person behind you. Don't let it stop at the next person. So if you that person, somebody help, pass that on to somebody else, in your community and help them. We really need to stick together, and we need to stop being jealous and envious and work together. If you are someone who has, let me see, some talent, right? A rapper, a singer, a producer, or something like that, right? And you can, let's see, somebody who wants to get into that field, but they don't know how hard is it going to be for you to tell them a few different things. I use this, I use that. By the way, shout out to Podbean and Descript. Forgot to give them their shout out in the beginning. But my podcast, if you're someone who's interested in hosting a podcast, starting your own podcast, my podcast is hosted on Podbean platform. I'll make sure that the information is below. And I use Descript to edit my podcast, to get my social media clips, to do green screens, do a lot of stuff. And it's so simple. It's like click here, click there, and bam. But there are so many others that are out there. So I'm going to share with you what I use and what works for me. Of course, do your research to see what fits for you. But I'm never going to sit up here and gatekeep, because I want us all out here to win. I want us all to be out here eating, right? Because at the end of the day, when my sister over there, not my sister, but another black woman is winning, she making us all look good, right? If a brother over there is doing good, he making us all look good. I feel like we look good as a whole, as a unit. When one of us is doing good, we clapping, because 100 points for us. But when we doing bad, let me tell you something. One of the things that, and I'm a little ashamed to say this out loud, but I'm going to say this because this is raw and uncut. There was I don't remember what the name or whatever, I think it's the DC sniper or something like that. And when everything came out that we had this sniper that was out there shooting everybody, the first thing that popped in my mind, and a few other people's mind, was, please don't be black, please don't be black. So it was just like, so whenever something like bad happens and it comes out on the news or something, we are hoping, or at least I'm hoping and praying, that it's not somebody black, because it's now you just set us back. We need to stick together as a unit so we can lift each other up. If somebody can't climb up, then we can pull them up. If somebody can't get down, then we can lift them down. In the Bible, there was this group of friends, and Jesus was speaking, and their friend needed to be down in front of Jesus so he can get healed, but he could not get down there because he couldn't move, couldn't walk. His friends, because there was so many people, they lifted him down from a roof down into the crowd so he can get close to Jesus, so Jesus could heal him. That's what we need to do as people. We need to be looking out for one another. If one of us is mourning, depressed, or whatever, we need to be checking on them and making sure we get them the help that they need. We need to stick together. We need to check on one another. Okay? And again, do not become an enabler. It needs to be for people who actually want the help, who want to be better, who want to do better, who wants to grow. If you see somebody who is draining you when you're trying to help them, you can't. You got to walk away. But how you can help them from a distance is keep them in prayer. Pray for those people. Some people you can't physically, verbally, financially help, but you pray for them and allow God to step in. You intercede on their behalf and then let God help them. Okay. So, with that said, I hope you guys took something from this episode, which is the biggest thing is we need to look out for one another and we need to stop being jealous and envious of one another. Okay? Because what you see somebody else doing, you could do it too if you put your mind and a work to it. Okay? I didn't get no handouts. I worked hard to get to where I'm at. But if you want to know the process and how I got here as far as buying my home, starting a business, call me up. Hit me up on social media. Send me an email. I'll make sure all that information is below. I don't gatekeep nothing. I want us all to win. It's enough money out here for everybody to eat. So when I get information, whether it's a job opportunity, housing, whatever, I be sending out mass text messages to everybody. Because I know somebody. And if I don't know somebody, the person I'm sending to might know somebody who can benefit from this information. Hi, so my name is Nicolette Royal or Nicole Johnson for legal purposes. Royal is my father's last name, but my mom gave me my dad's last name, but I use it now with my businesses, and I am the owner of Royal Legacy Services. Royal Legacy Services is a tax prep and tax advisory credit repair business. I started this business, I started doing taxes maybe about 20 years ago, and I treated it as a hobby. It was always a side gig for me. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I decided to go full in with my business when I got laid off. So I provide tax services for personal taxes. I provide tax services for small businesses. I provide tax advice. So with the tax advice, I typically try to give people tips and advice on what they need to do in the year before tax season. So different things and strategies that you can implement now will help you with tax savings, tax deductions, and credits and so forth when tax season comes around. I added credit repair about 3 years ago as a service to my tax business. And the reason being was because I had so many tax clients that I would hear when I would have a consultation with them, they would say, as soon as I get my money, I'm going to pay this off or I'm going to do this so that I can fix my credit. So I felt like it was an opportunity to add credit repair services so that I can help them with their taxes and their credit. One of the things that really helped me in my business is I was my first client. So I started doing my own taxes myself. And then that turned into me doing taxes for family members and then friends. And pretty much everybody that I have currently literally is a referral. I might have a few people that found me on like Yelp or Facebook or something like that. But majority of my clients that I have, they were referred to me by somebody else. The same with credit repair. I actually went to an actual credit repair company before I was about to buy my house. And they got a couple of things off, but they didn't educate me on the importance of how to build my credit back up. They didn't educate me on the different consumer laws or anything of that sort. They just was like, pay me this money and we're going to do this. Well, pay this money to enroll. And I believe they had like a paper delete type of thing. So I decided to do credit repair differently. I probably overshare with my clients. I probably whelm them with things, but I want them to know everything that I know so that they can make sure that they don't get back into the same predicament that they're in when they come to me, right? So I make sure that they know about what makes up their credit score. I make sure that they know that in addition to me getting negative items removed, that they also need to now establish new credit. So I have a list of credit building accounts that I refer them to, and I walk them through the entire process. I also have an ebook that I typically tell new clients, potential clients, right? I tell them, hey, here's an ebook. If you want to work on your credit yourself, you can. And here's the steps on how to do that.
So I'll share the link with my Stan store where you can actually purchase my ebook. You'll also have a link on how you can reach me. You will, what else am I going to share? So my number is 702-969-3605. That is my business number. That is how you can reach me, or you can go to Royal Legacy Services, so svcs.com, and you could go ahead and schedule a consultation with me, and I will look at everything that you have going on, whether it's your taxes. I do back taxes. I try to stay away from amendments. If I didn't file your taxes, I typically don't like redoing somebody else's stuff, but I can look at it and look it over and see if it's something that I can help you with. The tax advice, I typically, if you have a business, I love people who have small businesses because there is so much that you are able to claim as a deduction under your business. So those are all the things that I will walk you through and talk you through when you have a consultation with me. So Nicole Johnson or Nicole Royal with Royal Legacy Services.
So keep that in mind. So thank you guys so much for pulling up to a seat. Excuse me. Thank you so much for pulling up a seat to the table. I want to say I hope you all have a blessed week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like this episode, you subscribe to my channel, share it with somebody else who might benefit from pulling a seat up to the table. All is welcome here. I'm not excluding anybody. This table is specifically for people of color, but all are welcome to tune in and share this information with somebody that it can benefit from. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys have a blessed one.